The moment Wade Sloan stepped through the door of the Stone Gulch Community Hall, every head turned, and Lenora Hawthorne felt the air leave her lungs. 6 years had passed since she had last seen that weathered face, those careful hands, that walk that carried both confidence and wariness in equal measure. The dance floor stilled. Violins trailed into silence. Lenora stood frozen in the middle of the room, her dark green dress suddenly too tight, her pinned chestnut hair feeling like it might tumble loose at any second. Wade's gaze found hers instantly, as though no one else existed. His jaw tightened. Lenora felt her pulse hammer against her ribs. She had not prepared for this. She had built Moonstone Ranch into something solid, something hers, and she had buried the memory of the ceremony they never finished, the vows they never completed, the marriage that existed only in her heart and in a half-signed document locked in a drawer she never opened. Around her, whispers started. The Parker sisters leaned close to one another. Old Samuel Pritchard frowned. Lenora's younger brother Garrett stiffened beside her, his hand drifting toward his belt. Garrett had never known the truth. No one had. Lenora had kept it locked away for 6 years, and now Wade Sloan had walked back into her life without warning, without permission, without apology. Wade took a step forward. His boots echoed on the wooden floor. Lenora forced herself to breathe. She had to move. She had to do something. But before she could decide, Garrett stepped between them, his voice low and sharp. "You need to leave," he said. Lenora opened her mouth to intervene, but Wade raised one hand. Calm, steady. "I came to see Lenora," Wade said quietly. "I have business in Stone Gulch, and I intend to conduct it." Business. The word landed like a stone. Lenora felt her chest tighten. She knew what kind of business Wade conducted. He was a cattle buyer, a man who moved from town to town, making deals, settling disputes, vanishing before roots could take hold. She had loved him once. She had believed him once. And then he had left her standing in a half-lit church, with a preacher who had packed his saddlebags and ridden out before the ceremony could finish. She pushed past Garrett, ignoring his warning hiss. Wade's gaze locked onto hers, and she saw something flicker there. Something that looked almost like regret. But regret did not pay debts. Regret did not rebuild trust. Regret did not explain why he had disappeared the night before they were supposed to finish what they started. "What are you doing here?" she said, her voice steady despite the storm inside her. Wade's jaw worked. "I came to find a man," he said. "A fugitive. And I came to see you." Lenora felt the room tilt. A fugitive. Of course. Wade did not just buy cattle anymore. Somewhere along the way, he had taken up bounty work, dangerous work, work that brought trouble wherever he went. Before she could respond, the hall door slammed open again. Sheriff Calloway strode in, his expression grim, his hand resting on the revolver at his hip. "Wade Sloan," Calloway said, his voice carrying across the silent room. "You are wanted for questioning in the shooting death of a man in Redstone. I need you to come with me." Now. Lenora's heart stopped. Wade did not move. His expression remained calm, but she saw the tightness around his eyes, the way his shoulders shifted just slightly. He was calculating. He was deciding whether to run or stay. Calloway took another step forward. Wade met his gaze. "I did not kill anyone in Redstone," Wade said evenly. But I will come with you and answer your questions. Just let me speak to Lenora first. Calloway shook his head. No special treatment, Sloane. You come now, or I bring you in by force. Wade's jaw clenched, but he nodded. Lenora felt something crack inside her. She did not know if Wade was guilty. She did not know if he was innocent. She only knew that she could not let him walk out of that hall without understanding why he had come back. She stepped forward, ignoring Garrett's sharp whisper. "Sheriff," she said, her voice clear and firm. "I will vouch for Wade Sloane. He can stay at Moonstone Ranch under my supervision until you have conducted your investigation." The room erupted. Garrett grabbed her arm. "Lenora, are you out of your mind?" he hissed. Calloway frowned. "Miss Hawthorne, this is a serious matter. I cannot release a suspect into civilian custody without cause." Lenora lifted her chin. "Wade Sloane is not a stranger to me," she said. "He is a business associate, and I have the authority to offer him temporary residence on my property. If you believe he is a flight risk, you may post a deputy at the ranch. But I will not stand by and watch a man accused without evidence be thrown into a cell on rumor alone." The hall went silent again. Calloway studied her, his eyes narrowed. Wade said nothing, but she felt his gaze on her, intense and unreadable. Finally, Calloway exhaled. "Fine," he said, "but he does not leave the ranch without my permission. And if he runs, Miss Hawthorne, you will answer for it." Lenora nodded. "Understood." She turned to Wade. "You will ride with me?" "Now." Wade's expression flickered, something between gratitude and confusion. He nodded once. Garrett stepped in front of her. "Lenora, this is insane. You do not know what he has done. You do not know who he is anymore." Lenora met her brother's eyes. "I know exactly who he is," she said quietly. "And I know what I am doing." She did not wait for Garrett to argue. She turned and walked toward the door, her heart pounding, her hands trembling inside her riding gloves. Behind her, she heard Wade's boots follow. The crowd parted. The night air hit her face, cool and sharp, carrying the scent of dust and distant rain. She did not look back. She walked to the hitching post where her mare waited, untied the reins, and swung into the saddle with practiced ease. Wade mounted his own horse, a rangy bay gelding that looked as travel-worn as its rider. They rode out of Stone Gulch, side by side, the town's watchful eyes burning into their backs, the weight of old secrets pressing down like storm clouds, gathering on the horizon. The ride to Moonstone Ranch took an hour. Lenora did not speak. Wade did not try. The silence stretched between them, thick and unresolved, punctuated only by the rhythm of hooves on hard-packed earth and the distant call of a nighthawk. When the ranch buildings finally appeared, low shapes against the darkening sky, Lenora felt a flicker of relief. This was her ground, her rules, her choices. She dismounted in front of the main house, a sturdy timber structure with a wide porch and iron lanterns burning on either side of the door. Wade followed her lead, his movements careful, respectful. She handed her reins to the ranch hand who appeared from the barn, a young man named Eli, who cast Wade a wary glance but said nothing. "Take care of the horses," Lenora said, "and tell the others we have a guest. He stays in the guest room, and no one is to bother him without my permission." Eli nodded and led the horses away. Lenora turned to Wade. "Inside," she said. Wade followed her up the porch steps and through the front door. The house was warm, lit by oil lamps and a low fire in the stone hearth. Lenora shrugged off her riding gloves and set them on the hall table. She did not offer Wade a seat. She turned to face him, her arms crossed. "Now," she said, "you are going to tell me the truth. All of it." Wade met her gaze. His expression was steady, but she saw the exhaustion there, the tension held in check. "I did not kill anyone in Redstone," he said. "The man who died was a fugitive I was tracking. He drew on me first. I defended myself, but his partner got away and spread a story that I murdered him in cold blood. I came to Stone Gulch because the fugitive I am after now is hiding somewhere near here. And I came because I owed you an explanation for what happened 6 years ago." Lenora felt her throat tighten. She did not know if she could believe him. She did not know if she wanted to. But she had made a choice in that hall. And now, she had to see it through. "What happened 6 years ago," she said quietly, "was that you left. The night before we were supposed to finish the ceremony, you disappeared. The preacher left town the next morning. I was left with nothing. No husband, no explanation, no closure." Wade flinched. She saw it, a brief crack in his composure. "I know," he said, "and I have regretted it every day since. But I had no choice, Lenora. The man I was tracking back then, he found out where I was. He sent word that if I did not leave Stone Gulch immediately, he would burn the church with everyone inside. I could not risk your life. I could not risk innocent people. So I left. I thought I could come back once I had dealt with him. But by the time I did, you had already filed for the ranch deed in your own name. You had moved on. And I had no right to ask you to take me back." Lenora stared at him. She wanted to believe him. She wanted to believe that he had left to protect her. Not because he had changed his mind. Not because he had been afraid of commitment. But belief required trust. And trust required proof. "Why did you not send word?" she said. "Why did you not write? Why did you let me think you had abandoned me?" Wade's expression darkened. "I tried," he said. "I sent 3 letters. You never replied. I thought you wanted nothing to do with me." Lenora felt the ground shift beneath her. She had never received any letters. She had checked the post office every week for months, hoping for something. Anything. And then, she had stopped hoping. 3 letters, she said slowly. I never received them. Wade frowned. Someone must have intercepted them. Someone who did not want us to reconcile. Lenora's mind raced. Garrett. It had to be Garrett. Her brother had never approved of Wade. He had made that clear from the start. And after Wade left, Garrett had taken control of the ranch operations, handling all correspondence, managing all business. She felt a cold fury settle in her chest. If Garrett had kept those letters from her, if he had stolen her chance to know the truth, she would make him answer for it. But first, she had to deal with the immediate problem. The fugitive you were tracking, she said. Who is he? Wade hesitated. His name is Silas Cade. He is wanted for armed robbery and murder in 3 territories. He is dangerous, and he is smart. I tracked him to this area, but I lost his trail 2 days ago. I believe he is hiding on one of the ranches near Stone Gulch, waiting for the heat to die down before he moves on. Lenora's pulse quickened. If Silas Cade was hiding nearby, her ranch could be in danger. Her workers could be in danger. She could not afford to ignore this. "What do you need from me?" she said. Wade's gaze sharpened. "I need access to your land. I need to search the surrounding properties. And I need you to trust me long enough for me to prove I am telling the truth." About Redstone, about the letters, about everything. Lenora held his gaze. Trust was not something she gave lightly anymore. But she had already made her choice. She had vouched for him in front of the whole town. She had brought him to her ranch. She had opened the door, and now she had to decide whether to let him walk through it. "Fine," she said. "You can search the land. But you do not go anywhere alone. I go with you. And if I find out you are lying to me, Wade Sloan, I will turn you over to Calloway myself." Wade nodded. "Fair enough." Lenora exhaled slowly. "Then we start at first light. For now, you sleep in the guest room. I will have Eli bring you water and a meal." Wade's expression softened. "Thank you, Lenora." She did not reply. She turned and walked toward the stairs, her heart pounding, her mind spinning with questions she did not yet have answers for. Behind her, she heard Wade settle into the chair by the hearth, the leather creaking under his weight. She climbed the stairs to her own room and closed the door behind her. The silence pressed in. She crossed to the window and looked out at the dark expanse of her land, the moonlight painting the hills in shades of silver and shadow. Somewhere out there, a fugitive was hiding. Somewhere out there, the truth was waiting to be uncovered. And somewhere inside her own heart, a decision was forming. One that would change everything. Morning came cold and clear. Lenora dressed in her work clothes, a split-riding skirt and a fitted jacket, her hair braided and pinned tight against her skull. She found Wade already awake, standing on the porch with a cup of coffee in his hands, his gaze fixed on the distant ridgeline. He looked up as she approached. "Ready," he said. Lenora nodded. "We start with the north pasture. There are caves up there that would make good hiding spots." They rode out together, the sun just beginning to crest the hills, the air still cool and sharp. Lenora led the way, her mare sure-footed on the rocky trail. Wade followed close behind, his rifle resting across his saddle. They did not speak much. The silence between them was easier now, less jagged, though still weighted with everything unsaid. As they climbed higher, Lenora found herself glancing at Wade more than she meant to. His profile against the sky, the way he sat his horse, the quiet competence in every movement. When they reached the caves, Lenora dismounted and tied her horse to a low juniper. Wade did the same. He drew his revolver, checked the chambers, and gestured for her to stay behind him. Lenora bristled. "I know how to handle myself," she said. Wade glanced back. "I do not doubt it. But if Cade is in there, he will not hesitate to shoot. Let me go first." Lenora clenched her jaw but nodded. Wade moved forward, his steps silent on the stone. She followed, her hand resting on the small revolver she carried in her jacket pocket. The cave mouth was dark and narrow. Wade paused at the entrance, listening. Then he stepped inside. Lenora's pulse quickened. The air inside was cool and damp, smelling of earth and old smoke. Wade moved deeper his revolver raised. Lenora stayed close, her eyes adjusting to the dim light. And then Wade stopped. She nearly ran into his back. He raised one hand, signaling her to be still. Ahead, in the shadows, something moved. Wade's voice was low and commanding. "Silas Cade, show yourself." For a long moment, nothing happened. Then a figure stepped forward into the faint light filtering from the cave mouth. But it was not Silas Cade. It was a woman, thin and ragged, her face pale and frightened. She raised her hands. "Please," she whispered, "do not shoot. I am not armed. I am just trying to hide." Wade lowered his revolver slightly. "Who are you?" The woman swallowed. "My name is Clara. Clara Whitmore. I was traveling with my husband when we were attacked by a man on the road. He killed my husband and took our money. I have been hiding here for 2 days." Lenora stepped forward. "The man who attacked you," she said. "What did he look like?" Clara's eyes filled with tears. Tall, dark hair, scar across his left cheek. He had a tattoo on his wrist, some kind of bird. Lenora glanced at Wade. Wade's expression had gone hard. "That is Silas Cade," he said quietly. Clara's breath hitched. "He said if I told anyone, he would come back and finish what he started." Wade holstered his revolver. "You are safe now. We will get you to town. But I need to know where he went." Clara shook her head. "I do not know. He rode south after he took our wagon. That was all I saw." Wade nodded. "All right. Come with us. We will take you to Moonstone Ranch, get you fed and rested, and then we will take you to the sheriff." Clara looked between them, her expression torn between relief and fear. "Thank you," she whispered. Lenora took Clara's arm gently. "You are safe," she said. "We will not let him hurt you again." They rode back to the ranch slowly, Clara riding behind Lenora on the mare. The woman was weak and shaken, barely able to hold on. When they reached the house, Lenora helped her inside and settled her in the guest room, bringing water, food, and clean clothes. Wade stood in the doorway, watching. "You have a kind heart," he said quietly. Lenora glanced at him. "I do what needs to be done." Wade's gaze softened. "I know. That is one of the things I always admired about you." Lenora felt her chest tighten. She did not know how to respond. She turned back to Clara, adjusting the blanket around the woman's shoulders. "Rest now," she said. "We will talk more later." Clara nodded, her eyes already closing. Lenora stepped out into the hallway, and Wade followed. They stood there for a moment, the silence heavy between them. "If Cade is moving south," Wade said, "he could be heading toward the border. Or he could be doubling back to throw off pursuit. Either way, we need to alert Calloway." Lenora nodded. "I will send Eli into town with a message." Wade frowned. "Calloway is not going to like that I am still moving around." Lenora met his gaze. "Then we make sure Calloway understands that you are helping, not running." Wade's expression flickered. "You are putting yourself at risk for me." "Why?" Lenora hesitated. "Because I made a choice," she said. "And I do not make choices lightly." Wade held her gaze, and something passed between them. Something old and unresolved and dangerously alive. That afternoon, Sheriff Calloway arrived at Moonstone Ranch with a deputy in tow. Lenora met them on the porch, her expression calm and controlled. Calloway dismounted and tipped his hat. Miss Hawthorne. I heard you brought in a witness. Lenora nodded. Clara Whitmore. She was attacked by Silas Cade 2 days ago. Her husband was killed. She is inside, resting. Wade Sloan found her hiding in the caves on my northern pasture. Calloway's expression tightened. Where is Sloan now? Lenora gestured toward the barn. Working. He has been helping search for Cade. Calloway frowned. I told him not to leave the ranch. He has not, Lenora said. He has been on my land the entire time. Calloway studied her. You are taking a big risk, Miss Hawthorne. Lenora lifted her chin. I am aware of the risks, Sheriff, but I believe Wade Sloan is innocent of the charges against him, and I believe he is the best chance we have of catching Silas Cade before he kills again. Calloway sighed. I hope you are right. For your sake. He gestured to his deputy. Go inside and take Clara Whitmore's statement. The deputy nodded and headed into the house. Calloway turned back to Lenora. I will need to speak to Sloan as well. Lenora nodded. I will get him. She walked to the barn, her heart pounding. Wade was inside, mending a saddle strap, his hands steady and precise. Calloway is here, she said. He wants to talk to you. Wade set down the leather and stood. He nodded. I expected as much. They walked back to the house together. Calloway was waiting on the porch, his arms crossed. Wade stopped a respectful distance away. Sheriff. Calloway's gaze was hard. I have been asking questions about the shooting in Redstone. The witnesses I spoke to confirmed your account. The man you killed drew first. You acted in self-defense. Lenora felt a rush of relief. Wade's expression remained neutral. Does that mean the charges are dropped? Calloway nodded slowly. For now. But you are still a person of interest in the pursuit of Silas Cade. I expect full cooperation. Wade nodded. You have it. Calloway glanced between them. Good. Because Cade was spotted an hour ago near the railroad depot. He tried to rob the ticket office and shot a clerk. He is moving fast, and he is getting desperate. Lenora's pulse quickened. Do you have a direction? Calloway shook his head. He disappeared into the hills west of town. But we have men tracking him. If you two want to help, I will not stop you. But be careful. Cade is cornered, and that makes him more dangerous than ever. Wade met Lenora's gaze. We will be ready. Calloway nodded. I will send word if we get a lead. He mounted his horse and rode out with his deputy, leaving Lenora and Wade standing on the porch, the weight of what was coming settling over them like a storm about to break. That night, Lenora sat by the fire in the main room, a cup of tea cooling in her hands. Wade sat across from her, his rifle resting against the wall within easy reach. The house was quiet. Clara had fallen asleep hours ago. The ranch hands were bedded down in the bunkhouse. The world outside was dark and still, but Lenora could not shake the feeling that something was about to shift. Wade, she said quietly. Tell me about the letters. Wade looked up. His expression was guarded. What do you want to know? I want to know what you wrote, she said. Wade exhaled slowly. I told you I was sorry. I told you why I left. I told you I wanted to come back and finish what we started. I told you I still loved you. Lenora felt her throat close. She set down her tea and looked away. I never got them, she said. And I spent 6 years thinking you did not care. Wade leaned forward, his voice low and rough. I cared, Lenora. I never stopped caring. But I thought you wanted nothing to do with me. And I did not blame you. I had hurt you. I had left you. I had no right to expect forgiveness. Lenora turned back to him. Do you still want it? She asked. Forgiveness. Wade held her gaze. More than anything. Lenora felt something crack open inside her, something she had kept locked away for years. She stood and crossed to the window, staring out at the dark land. I do not know if I can give it to you, she said. I do not know if I can trust you again. Wade stood and moved to stand behind her, not touching, but close enough that she could feel his presence. I understand, he said, and I will not ask for more than you can give. But I am here now, and I am not going anywhere until this is finished. Lenora closed her eyes. She could feel the heat of him at her back, the pull of old memories and new possibilities. She did not know if she could let herself fall again. But she knew she could not keep running from what she felt. She turned to face him. If we do this, she said, we do it right. No more secrets. No more running. No more half-finished vows. Wade's gaze searched hers. I swear it, he said. On my life. Lenora held his gaze for a long moment. Then she nodded. All right. We finish this. Together. The next morning brought word from Calloway. A rancher 10 miles west had reported seeing a man matching Cade's description near an abandoned line shack. Calloway was organizing a posse, and he wanted Wade and Lenora to join. They rode out within the hour, meeting Calloway and 6 other men at the edge of town. The sheriff laid out the plan. We surround the shack. We call him out. If he surrenders, we take him in. If he fights, we end it. Understood. The men nodded. Lenora checked her revolver. Wade met her gaze. Stay close, he said. I will. They rode hard, the horses kicking up dust, the sun climbing higher. When they reached the line shack, Calloway signaled for the men to spread out. Lenora and Wade took positions on the south side, crouching behind a low rise. The shack was small and weathered, its door hanging crooked on rusted hinges. Smoke rose from the chimney. Someone was inside. Calloway raised his voice. Silas Cade. This is Sheriff Calloway. You are surrounded. Come out with your hands up. And no one gets hurt. Silence. Then a gunshot cracked from inside the shack. The bullet struck the dirt near Calloway's horse. The animal reared. Calloway swore and dismounted. Return fire, he shouted. The posse opened up, bullets slamming into the shack's walls. Wade fired twice, precise and controlled. Lenora aimed carefully and squeezed the trigger. Her shot punched through the window. Inside, someone shouted. Another shot rang out, this one closer. Lenora ducked as a bullet whined past her head. Wade grabbed her shoulder and pulled her lower. Stay down, he said. The gunfight raged for minutes that felt like hours. Then, abruptly, the shooting stopped. Calloway called out again. Cade, this is your last chance. Cade's voice came back, rough and desperate. I am coming out. Do not shoot. The door creaked open. A figure stepped into the sunlight, hands raised. But it was not Silas Cade. It was a younger man, pale and shaking, blood seeping from a wound in his shoulder. "Please," he gasped. "I surrender." Calloway moved forward cautiously. "Where is Cade?" The man shook his head. "He left. Last night. He told me to stay here and slow you down. He is heading for the border." Wade swore under his breath. Calloway gestured for 2 men to take the wounded man into custody. "The rest of you, mount up. We ride for the border." Lenora and Wade exchanged a glance. They ran for their horses, swinging into the saddle and spurring hard. The posse thundered south, the land blurring past, the heat pressing down. Lenora's heart pounded. She could feel the urgency in every stride, the knowledge that if Cade crossed the border, he would disappear into the lawless territories, and they would never catch him. They rode for hours, pushing the horses to their limits. Finally, Calloway raised a hand. There, in the distance, a lone rider was moving fast toward a narrow canyon mouth. "Cade." Calloway spurred forward. The posse followed, closing the distance. Cade glanced back and saw them. He kicked his horse harder, driving toward the canyon. Wade leaned low over his horse's neck, his jaw set. "He is going to make a stand in there," he said. "It is a good defensive position." Lenora nodded. "Then we do not give him time to set up." They reached the canyon mouth just as Cade disappeared inside. Calloway called a halt. "We go in on foot. Spread out. Watch for ambush." The men dismounted. Lenora drew her revolver. Wade moved beside her, his rifle ready. They entered the canyon together, the narrow walls rising high on either side, the shadows deep and cold. Lenora's pulse hammered. Every step felt like walking into a trap. And then a shot rang out. Rock exploded near her head. She dropped to one knee. Wade returned fire, his shots echoing off the stone. Cade was higher up, perched behind a boulder. He fired again, the bullet striking the ground near Calloway. The sheriff dove for cover. The posse returned fire, but Cade was well protected. Wade scanned the canyon walls. "Lenora," he said, "there is a ledge on the left. If we can get up there, we can flank him." Lenora nodded. "Let us go." They moved low and fast, scrambling up a steep slope, their boots slipping on loose rock. Wade reached the ledge first and pulled Lenora up after him. They crept forward, the sound of gunfire echoing below. When they reached a vantage point above Cade's position, Wade raised his rifle. Lenora covered him, her revolver trained on Cade's back. Wade called out, "Cade, drop your weapon. It is over." Cade spun, his revolver swinging toward them. Wade fired. The shot caught Cade in the chest. The man staggered, his gun falling from his hand. He dropped to his knees, blood spreading across his shirt. Calloway and the posse rushed forward. Cade collapsed onto his side, his breathing ragged. Calloway knelt beside him. "It is done," the sheriff said quietly. Lenora exhaled slowly. Wade lowered his rifle. They stood there for a moment, the adrenaline draining, the reality settling in. It was over. Cade was finished. The danger was past. Wade turned to her. "Are you all right?" Lenora nodded. "I am fine." Wade's gaze searched hers. "You did good," he said. Lenora felt a flicker of warmth in her chest. "So did you." They climbed down from the ledge together, rejoining the posse. Calloway looked up as they approached. "Good work, both of you." Wade nodded. Lenora said nothing. She was thinking about what came next. They rode back to Stone Gulch as the sun set, the sky streaked with red and gold. Calloway took Cade's body to the undertaker. The posse dispersed. Lenora and Wade rode to Moonstone Ranch in silence, the weight of everything that had happened pressing down. When they reached the house, Lenora dismounted and handed her reins to Eli. "Take care of the horses," she said, "and tell the others we are back." Eli nodded. Wade followed her onto the porch. Lenora paused at the door. "Come inside," she said. "We need to talk." Wade followed her into the main room. Lenora poured 2 glasses of whiskey and handed one to Wade. They drank in silence for a moment. Then Lenora set down her glass. "I spoke to Garrett this morning before we left," she said. "I asked him about the letters." Wade's gaze sharpened. "And?" Lenora's expression hardened. "He admitted it. He intercepted them. He said he was protecting me. He said, you were no good for me, and he did not want to see me hurt again." Wade's jaw clenched. "What did you say?" Lenora's voice was cold. "I told him he had no right to make that choice for me. I told him he had cost me 6 years. And I told him he was no longer welcome at Moonstone Ranch until he could apologize and mean it." Wade's expression softened. "I am sorry, Lenora. I know that was not easy." Lenora shook her head. "It needed to be done. I will not let anyone control my life. Not Garrett, not anyone." She paused. "Not even you, Wade." Wade nodded. "I would never ask you to." Lenora held his gaze. "Good. Because if we are going to finish what we started 6 years ago, we do it as equals. No secrets, no running, no one making decisions for the other." Wade set down his glass and stepped closer. "I swear it," he said, "on everything I am." Lenora felt her heart pound. "Then let us finish it," she said. Wade's gaze darkened. "Now?" he asked. Lenora nodded. "Now." Wade reached out and took her hand. His palm was warm, rough, solid. Lenora felt something settle inside her, something she had not felt in years. Trust. Not blind trust, not easy trust, but trust earned through fire and blood and shared risk. She squeezed his hand. "We need a preacher," she said. Wade smiled, a slow, genuine smile. "I know one in the next county. We can ride there tomorrow." Lenora smiled back. "Then that is what we will do." That night, Lenora lay awake in her bed, staring at the ceiling. She could hear the creak of the house settling, the distant call of a coyote, the soft rustle of wind through the pines. She thought about the ceremony they never finished. She thought about the letters she never received. She thought about the 6 years she had spent building Moonstone Ranch into something strong and independent. She had done it alone. She had proved she did not need anyone. But that did not mean she did not want someone. It did not mean she did not want Wade. The next morning, they rode out at first light. The journey took most of the day. Through rolling hills and open prairie, past small settlements and lonely homesteads. When they finally reached the county seat, a dusty town not much bigger than Stone Gulch. Wade led her to a small white church on the edge of town. A gray-haired preacher answered the door, his face lighting up when he saw Wade. "Wade Sloan," he said. "I heard you were in the territory." Wade smiled. "Reverend Holloway, I need a favor." The preacher's gaze shifted to Lenora. He smiled warmly. "Of course. Come in." They stood in the small sanctuary, the late afternoon light streaming through the plain glass windows. Reverend Holloway opened his worn Bible and looked between them. "Are you ready?" he asked. Lenora met Wade's gaze. He was watching her with an intensity that made her breath catch. She nodded. "I am ready." Wade took her hands. His grip was steady, warm, sure. Reverend Holloway began the ceremony. The words washed over Lenora, familiar and strange all at once. She had heard them before, 6 years ago, in a half-lit church that smelled of dust and hope. But this time, there was no fear, no hesitation, no shadow of doubt. When the Reverend asked if she took Wade to be her husband, Lenora did not hesitate. "I do," she said, her voice clear and strong. When he asked Wade the same, Wade's answer was just as certain. "I do." The Reverend smiled. "Then by the authority vested in me, I pronounce you husband and wife. Wade, you may kiss your bride." Wade leaned in slowly, giving Lenora time to pull away if she wanted. She did not. She met him halfway, her lips pressing against his, soft and warm and right. The kiss was brief, but full of promise, full of everything they had been and everything they could become. They rode back to Moonstone Ranch as husband and wife. The sun was setting by the time they arrived, the sky painted in shades of amber and rose. Lenora dismounted and looked around at the land she had built, the home she had fought for, the life she had carved out of hardship and determination. And now, for the first time in 6 years, she did not feel alone. Wade came to stand beside her. "It is beautiful," he said. Lenora smiled. "It is ours," she said. Wade wrapped his arm around her waist. "I like the sound of that." The days that followed settled into a new rhythm. Wade took on work around the ranch, mending fences, training horses, helping with the cattle. He was good with his hands, patient and skilled, and the ranch hands respected him quickly. Lenora continued to run the business side, managing accounts, negotiating sales, making decisions. They worked side by side, partners in every sense, and Lenora found herself growing more comfortable with the idea of sharing her life, her land, her heart. One evening, as they sat on the porch watching the stars come out, Wade turned to her. "I have been thinking," he said, "about what comes next." Lenora glanced at him, and Wade smiled. "I want to stay here. I want to build something with you. I want to raise horses, maybe start a breeding program. I want to be more than just a man passing through. I want to be your husband, not just in name, but in every way that matters." Lenora felt warmth spread through her chest. "I want that too," she said. Wade leaned over and kissed her, slow and tender. When he pulled back, his gaze was serious. "I know I hurt you," he said, "and I know it will take time to rebuild what we lost. But I am here, Lenora, and I am not going anywhere." Lenora reached up and touched his face. "I know," she said, "and I am ready to try." Wade smiled, and for the first time in 6 years, Lenora felt truly at peace. The past was behind them. The future was uncertain. But they had each other, and that was enough. They sat together in the gathering dark, the sounds of the ranch settling around them, the stars bright and endless overhead. And Lenora knew that whatever came next, they would face it together. Weeks turned into months. The ranch flourished under their combined efforts. Wade proved to be as good a rancher as he had been a tracker, and Lenora found herself relying on his judgment as much as her own. They talked late into the night, sharing stories, planning for the future, rebuilding the trust that had been broken. Clara Whitmore recovered and moved on, grateful for their help. Garrett eventually returned, humbled and apologetic, and Lenora forgave him, though she made it clear that boundaries had changed. The town of Stone Gulch accepted Wade slowly, but accept him they did, especially after word spread that he had been the one to bring down Silas Cade. One crisp autumn morning, as Lenora stood in the barn checking on a new foal, Wade came in carrying a letter. It was addressed to both of them, postmarked from the territorial marshal's office. Lenora opened it and read quickly. It was an offer. The marshal was looking for experienced trackers and negotiators to help settle disputes and track fugitives across the territory. He was offering Wade a position as a deputy marshal based out of Moonstone Ranch, with Lenora listed as an associate consultant. Lenora looked up at Wade. "What do you think?" she asked. Wade leaned against the stall door. "I think it is a good opportunity, but only if you want to do it." Lenora considered. The work would be dangerous, but it would also be meaningful, and it would keep them together, working as partners. "I want to do it," she said. Wade grinned. "Then we will write back and accept." Lenora folded the letter and tucked it into her pocket. "Together," she said. Wade nodded. "Always." They walked out of the barn together, the autumn sun warm on their faces, the future stretching out before them, full of possibility and promise. Winter came, cold and sharp, but the house was warm and full of life. Wade and Lenora worked through the season, tracking down a handful of fugitives, settling property disputes, and building a reputation as fair and effective. The people of Stone Gulch and the surrounding territory began to trust them, to rely on them. Lenora found herself enjoying the work in ways she had not expected. It was challenging, dangerous, but deeply satisfying. And doing it with Wade made it even better. One night, as snow fell softly outside, they sat by the fire in the main room. Wade was oiling his saddle. Lenora was mending a jacket. The silence between them was comfortable, easy, full of the kind of quiet contentment that comes from truly knowing another person. Wade looked up. "I have been thinking about something," he said. Lenora glanced at him. "What?" Wade set down the saddle strap. "I want to make this official. The ranch. I want to file the deed in both our names. Equal partners." Lenora felt her throat tighten. "Are you sure?" she asked. Wade nodded. "I have never been more sure of anything. This is your land, but I want it to be ours. Together." Lenora set down her mending and crossed to him. She knelt beside him, taking his hands. "Thank you," she said. Wade smiled. "No, thank you. For giving me a second chance. For trusting me. For building this life with me." Lenora leaned forward and kissed him, soft and lingering. When she pulled back, her eyes were bright. "I love you, Wade Sloan. Wade's expression softened. I love you too, Lenora. More than I ever thought possible. They stayed there by the fire for a long time, holding each other, the snow falling outside, the future bright and unwritten. Spring arrived with green hills and wildflowers. Lenora and Wade continued their work, balancing ranch life with their duties as deputy marshal and consultant. They were a formidable team, respected and trusted. And they were happy. Truly, deeply happy. One warm afternoon, as they rode back from a successful negotiation with a neighboring rancher, Wade pulled his horse to a stop on a hilltop overlooking Moonstone Ranch. Lenora stopped beside him. What is it? She asked. Wade gazed out at the land. I was just thinking, he said, about how far we have come, about how close we came to losing this. Lenora followed his gaze. I know, she said. Wade turned to her. I will never take this for granted, he said. Not the land, not the work, not you. Lenora smiled. Neither will I. They sat there for a moment, the breeze warm and gentle, the ranch spread out below them, solid and real in theirs. Then Wade reached over and took her hand. Let us go home, he said. Lenora squeezed his hand. Yes, let us go home. Years passed. Lenora and Wade grew older together, their bond deepening with every challenge they faced, every victory they shared, every quiet evening they spent side by side. The ranch prospered. Their work as marshal deputies brought justice and stability to the territory. They never had children, but they had each other, and that was more than enough. They were partners in every sense, equals in every way, and their love was the kind that endured, because it had been tested and proven and chosen every single day. On a warm summer evening, decades after that night, in the Stone Gulch Community Hall, Lenora and Wade sat on the porch of Moonstone Ranch, watching the sunset paint the sky in shades of gold and crimson. Wade's hair was more gray than brown now. Lenora's face carried lines earned by laughter and hard work, but their hands were still entwined, their love still steady, their partnership still strong. Wade turned to her. Do you have any regrets? He asked. Lenora thought for a moment, then shook her head. Not one, she said. Wade smiled. Neither do I. They sat in comfortable silence as the stars began to appear, the ranch quiet around them, the life they had built together a testament to trust, resilience, and the kind of love that could survive anything. Lenora leaned her head on Wade's shoulder. Thank you, she whispered, for coming back, for staying, for loving me. Wade kissed the top of her head. Thank you for letting me, he said. They stayed there until full dark, the night wrapping around them like a blanket. The future behind them, the present perfect, the love between them unshakable and true. The story of Lenora Hawthorne and Wade Sloan became legend in Stone Gulch and the surrounding territory. People spoke of the ranch owner who had vouched for a fugitive, and the cattle buyer who had come back to finish what he started. They spoke of a marriage that had been interrupted by danger and completed by choice. They spoke of two people who had faced down outlaws, rebuilt trust, and built a life together that was stronger than any obstacle. And when the old-timers gathered in the saloon on cold winter nights, they would raise a glass to the couple who had proven that love, when earned and fought for and chosen, could outlast anything the frontier threw at it. Lenora and Wade Sloan. Partners. Equals. Husband and wife. Forever.